Welcome to Good to Know, where we explore the science and secrets behind everyday life. Today's topic is one that's a little controversial and definitely fascinating. What's wrong with left-handed people? Are left-handers really different? Are they at a disadvantage in a right-handed world? Or do they have unique strengths that most people don't even realize? Let's take a closer look at the science, myths, and surprising truths about being left-handed. Throughout most of history, being left-handed carried a strange and often negative reputation. In fact, the word left in many languages is associated with awkwardness, weakness, or even evil. In Latin, the word for left is sinister. In French, gauche means both left and clumsy. In English, old traditions considered the left side unlucky or improper. For centuries, left-handed children were forced to switch hands in school. Some were punished or retrained to write, eat, or work with their right hand, often causing frustration, psychological stress, and a lasting sense of shame. Thankfully, most of those harsh practices are now abandoned. But even today, the world remains overwhelmingly designed for right-handed people. Estimates suggest that only about 10% of the global population is left-handed. That means 90% of tools, devices, instruments, and spaces, desks, guitars, door handles, are built primarily for right-handers. This can create real disadvantages. Left-handed people often have to adapt, improvise, or struggle with everyday objects that simply weren't made with them in mind. Even certain sports and activities can be tougher for lefties. In baseball, for example, left-handed catchers are rare because the field's typical design puts them at a disadvantage. In some musical instruments, like standard violins or guitars, left-handed versions are harder to find and more expensive. But these challenges have also forged a powerful side effect. Left-handed people often develop greater adaptability, problem-solving skills, and mental flexibility just to navigate a right-handed world. In fact, some studies suggest that left-handers may have a slight edge in creative thinking, possibly because of the constant need to approach tasks differently. Brain imaging studies show that left-handers often have more bilateral brain activation, meaning both hemispheres of the brain are more engaged during certain tasks. While most people are strongly left brain or right brain dominant for language or motor skills, left-handed individuals sometimes show more cross-communication between hemispheres. This could help explain why left-handers are overrepresented among certain groups, like artists, musicians, architects, inventors, athletes, especially in one-on-one sports like tennis, boxing, and fencing. Famous left-handers include Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Albert Einstein, Marie Curie, and Barack Obama. Clearly, being left-handed is not a flaw. It can be a mark of incredible talent. But it's not all positive. Left-handed people do face some documented risks, although the science is complicated and evolving. Some research has linked left-handedness to slightly higher rates of certain conditions, learning disabilities like dyslexia, autoimmune disorders, higher rates of injuries, especially in industrial settings with right-handed equipment, a tiny statistical increase in some mental health disorders like schizophrenia. It's important to understand, though, that these risks are correlational, not causal. Being left-handed doesn't cause these problems. It's just that different brain wiring might create small shifts in vulnerability. Other studies suggest that differences are overblown, and that most left-handed people live perfectly healthy, normal lives without any increased medical issues. There's also growing evidence that left-handedness may be linked to prenatal brain development. Factors like genetics, hormone exposure, and early brain growth patterns in the womb likely influence whether someone becomes left or right-handed. Interestingly, left-handedness runs in families, but it's not a simple genetic trait. If both parents are left-handed, their child is more likely to be left-handed, but the odds are still less than 50%. Scientists believe a combination of genes, environmental factors, and random biological variations shape handedness. Another fascinating fact: left-handedness is more common in identical twins. It's also slightly more frequent in males than females, though the reasons for this aren't fully understood. In the grand picture, handedness is just one of the many ways human beings vary naturally. It's not a defect or a disorder. It's a normal, if less common, variation of human neurology. So why does being left-handed sometimes feel wrong or challenging? Mainly because society has built environments, tools, and systems for the majority. It's not the individuals who are wrong, it's the one-size-fits-all world that hasn't fully adapted to human diversity. But things are slowly changing. Many modern classrooms, sports equipment makers, and tech companies now offer better options for left-handed people. Awareness is growing, and celebrating neurodiversity is becoming more common. Left-handers also enjoy a few surprising advantages in certain fields. In sports, for example, left-handed players can have a real competitive edge. Because right-handers are used to facing other right-handers, they're often thrown off by the different angles and rhythms of left-handed opponents. In chess, studies show that left-handed players slightly outperform right-handers at the highest levels of competition. Even in business and politics, some theories suggest that left-handers' natural adaptability helps them handle unpredictability and think outside the box. At the end of the day, the differences between left-handed and right-handed people are small compared to what we all share. Handedness is just one thread in the rich tapestry of human diversity. And while the challenges for left-handers are real, so are the unique strengths that arise from living a life of adaptation, resilience, and creative thinking. So what's wrong with left-handed people? Nothing at all. They simply remind us that the world isn't one-size-fits-all and that thinking differently is often a gift. If you're left-handed, embrace it. If you know someone who is, maybe take a second to notice how often everyday life quietly favors the right hand and how gracefully they adapt anyway. Left-handedness is not a flaw. It's a brilliant example of nature's diversity. Are you left-handed, or do you know someone who is? What's been your biggest challenge or unexpected advantage from it? Share your story in the comment side. Love to hear it. If this video gave you a new appreciation for how amazing the human brain can be, like it, subscribe to Good to Know for more surprising journeys into science, psychology, and the world around us. And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss the next adventure. Sometimes the greatest strengths are found where the world least expects them.